hello, and Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope everybody had an amazing Christmas Eve and a Christmas Day with their friends, their family, or wherever you went. I hope that it was nice and relaxing. I am still in the old quarantine. I've been fighting COVID since Wednesday. I'm still really tired, very congested, and just trying to do my best to get through this as best as I can. Hasn't been a fun back end of the year for me. I literally a couple weeks ago just got over a major upper respiratory infection that kept me out of work for about almost 10 days. And here I am blasted with COVID just on Christmas. That was my Christmas gift this year. And I will be home most likely a couple more days recovering before I do return to work. So, welcome everybody. We are getting ready to gear towards 2024. I feel like 2024 is going to be an amazing year for the LTL True Crime Podcast. The channel is growing. I'm seeing a lot of new faces here in the chat, and it's been a really fun experience so far. If you're first time over here, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification, and obviously comment in the live chat, because we do about 95% live chats here. I don't drop many videos. Everything here is normally live, and I go live every night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just about every night. So if you don't get my notifications, just come over and check the channel out. You will see me live, most likely every night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If not, I tend to go a little bit later in the night, but that's usually my standard starting time. Nice to see everybody in the chat. I have a lot of moderators in here. I hope they all had a great day. I hope everybody got what they want and no coal in their stocking. Let me just get some business out of the way, and then we'll get into tonight's presentation. I'm going to give you a rundown of what we're going to talk about tonight on the channel. But before I do that, I just want to point this out to you. I'm trying to become a full-time creator in 2024, and I'm using a site here that's a wonderful site called Buy Me a Coffee. And if you would like to contribute tonight, you can do that via Super Chat in the chat room, or you could join a membership in the chat room, or the best way to support me is just go over here. The link is pinned up above from my top moderator, Carrie. And this is called Buy Me a Coffee. You can come in here. I got 47 supporters. Thank you so much. And you can just make donations through here if you would like. And I also have monthly memberships that you can contribute as well on a monthly basis. And once you get hooked in, this is great. Once you make even just one donation, it gets you on my mailing list, and I can just put out notifications to let you know, hey, I'm live. So you will get that notification through your email, which is fantastic. Just going to pull this up really quick. Nikki is a member for 6 months support. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And thank you. Thank you for being here. And I hope, again, you had a wonderful Christmas. I am tonight, we're going to give another $25 gift away. And the stipulation will be this. I will give a hashtag with a word that you can use to get entered into the contest. But the rules are going to be this. You must be in the chat to claim the prize. So if I spin the wheel and you are not here and you don't answer in the chat, then I'm just going to move on to someone else. I'm going to respin until we find a winner. I ask if you want to be, included into the giveaway. I would prefer you have a PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App. If you don't have one of those three, then I would just say don't enter the contest, because it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to get your payout. So the payout tonight I'm going to do is just $25. I'm going to give that back to someone tonight. And hey, gas money, food money, if you need to buy a bottle of wine or a small gift for someone, it's great. And to get entered into that, and I'll do that drawing probably halfway through the show. If you want to get entered into that, just type in the chat, hashtag Merry. Hashtag Merry will get you entered. It's free to do it. And all I ask is a couple rules really quick. Be in the chat when I spin. Be responsive after you win. And just have a Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo. It makes it a lot easier. What I'll do after I confirm the winner is you will need to email me. I will confirm you. And then we'll do a process there, and I'll get you paid out. We had a couple payouts last night, which was fantastic. And we're going to do that again and give away some money here this evening. So, all right, what I want to do is get into, obviously, Brian Kohberger. I hope you saw my video earlier today that I dropped talking about the Bluetooth speaker and that connection to Kohberger. Now, this kind of spawned this idea out of a, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. This spawned an idea out of a live that I did last night. And I had kind of an aha moment. And that's kind of the title in that video. If you haven't gone back and watch it, make sure you do. But that would be it was kind of the precursor to this live tonight. And I want to go over that and kind of talk a little bit more about that and expunge on it as we go through here. But we're going to talk about this night tonight. First, before we get into all of that, I found a kind of interesting video by Banfield News Nation. She talked about the decline in serial killers. It's about a 5-minute video. I thought that would be a great icebreaker to open the show. So we'll check that out. We're going to talk about the possible summer trial in the Brian Kohberger case for 2024. And then obviously we'll get into the meat of the bones, the presentation about the Bluetooth speaker and that possible connection to the Bluetooth speaker. So let's pull this up first. We'll take a look at this icebreaker here. If I can find the video. Here it is. All right, it's about a 5-minute video. Let's check this out.
Are serial killers nearing extinction? I know that is a strange question considering the significant role they play in our culture. They're on the web and the news and books and TV shows and movies. But the fact is, there are way fewer serial killers out there now than there were a decade ago, possibly the fewest on record. Take a look at the graph. It was brought to our attention by one of our super fans. Thank you, Joan. Keep them coming. But this was created at the University of Michigan. And you can see back in the 50s, the number of serial killers was pretty low. But then it spiked in a big way in the 80s and the 90s before plunging back down in the 2000s. One study that was in 1987 showed there were 198 active serial killers roaming the U.S. And that is the most on record. But in 2018, there were just 12. The number of victims also fell. In 87, there were 404.
Before we get into why we think there's a decline, I want to see some of you in the chat. Why do you think there's been a decline in serial killer activity? Why do you think there's been a decline in serial killer activity? Type some answers in the chat. I want to pull them up. I just saw something come through and buy me a coffee. Let's make sure I recognize that. Dina Jan, thank you so much for the 5. I appreciate that on Buy Me a Coffee. Why do you think? Oh, Mike is already on it. Mike, you spoiled it for everybody. Yes. And DM is on it. DM right away. The first one. DM. Technology. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. Cameras everywhere, social media, technology. Good stuff. Cameras everywhere. That's great. Yeah. Really, really good stuff. All right, let's play this. This is a very interesting video.
Compared to just 36 in 2019. Not that 36 isn't an unacceptable number, but why the decline? A few ideas have been floated. After decades of media saturation, people realize that they'll be caught, so they don't try it. Or maybe investigators have gotten so good, they're catching would-be serial killers before they have the chance to kill multiple times. There are also big advancements in mental health care, potential serial killers getting help before acting on their impulses. Or could it be something entirely different? I'm joined by Dr. Gary Bricado. He is a clinical psychologist and an expert on killers of all kinds. He's also one of the creators of the Columbia Mass Murder Database, the largest study ever done on spree and mass murder. Okay, Dr. Bricado, the first question I have for you is why that graph to me says great news, but to you, maybe not such great news. What is it about it that isn't great news?
Well, first of all, one of the reasons that's been posited, as you mentioned, for the decline in serial killers is the advancement in technology that is permitting people to catch these offenders earlier. But the part that's left out of the narrative is that serial killers are learning to do things that get around those technologies. For example, what we're seeing in research, for example, at Boston College, is we see an increase in crimes in which there is a total mutilation or dismemberment of a body, sometimes even to the point of eliminating things like teeth and tattoos, even burning of bodies, because there is an understanding that there's a need to outpace the technology. The second thing that's important to understand is that as
Wow,
that
look at that curve.
graph sort of
Way down.
declines at the
That's
turn
good.
of the current century, what you're also seeing is a massive increase in mass murder, particularly by firearm. It's almost as if serial killing declined and mass murder increased at precisely the same time. And so one of the questions that has to be asked is there a cultural element to this? Now, when we look at that graph, the attention is being focused on the time when serial killing declined, but we could just
It
as
could be that
importantly
too.
look at the time when it began to increase. And there is a myth that serial killing has occurred, pretty much the same rate all across history. But the truth is that it was really in the 1960s that we started to see an explosion of sexual homicide, repeat homicide,
Yeah.
which is the bulk of what we call serial killing. And that continued until the turn of the last century. That's what inspired, for example, the behavioral science unit to begin to ask the question, why are we seeing this increase? One idea that's been put forward is that it represented a sort of backlash on the part of certain brittle
Wow, look how
working
far
class
that went
men
down.
out in the community against the freedom that women were beginning to
Yeah.
develop and receive from that period onward. And there's speculation that there may be a cultural element to why you're seeing a decline in that. So it's all very interesting, but I think we have to ask the question about the entire hump. Why did it begin in the 60s and begin to transform into mass murder sometime around 20 years ago?
I knew you'd have the answer. Dr. Gary Bricado, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. I'm going to just say happy holidays, and let's leave this on a more positive note
Oh, thank
by,
you, Emma.
best for you in the new
Very
year. And
sweet.
let's hope
You're
numbers
welcome to
come
join.
down in all aspects of killing.
Please join.
Same to you. Happy holidays.
Thank you for watching.
That's a great icebreaker. Really good icebreaker. All right, let's talk about the possibility of the summer 2024 trial. What I want to do is I got a couple of videos here, News Nation, Banfield, and as you know, a new document came out the other day. The prosecution is asking for a trial date in 2024. Now, I also want to play a video from the lawyer you know. He's going to give a nice 15-minute rundown of a lawyer side of that document. I read through it. Again, I'm not a lawyer at all. I can't make decisions on law, but it's going to be a nice breakdown to see and hear what he has to say about it. Now, I think, and I'm wondering here, and I want to be spontaneous in this video. I watched maybe like 2 minutes of it, but I want to see what he says towards the end of the video. I believe that this now is the defense's last line. They're going to have to put a motion in here. The judge is going to have to agree. And I think Judge wants to get this trial on. Obviously, we know the prosecution is ready. I think they have the goods on Brian Kohberger. I think there's going to be a lot of things that come out and drop jaws in people when they start watching this trial. But I think the last line of defense for the defense right now would be a change of venue. I think that would muck things up. And I have a weird feeling that that's going to happen soon. If not within this next week, possibly just after the new year when they have to respond to this 2024 trial date. I think that they're going to put in some kind of motion for a change of venue. So we'll see what happens there, but I have a pretty good feeling that it's going to happen. All right, let's pull up a video here, just talking a little bit about the other day when that when that document dropped. And this is from Hidden True Crime. And we'll pull this up here, talk a little bit about it 2 days ago.
Bringing Lauren Mathias now. She's the host of the very popular Hidden True Crime. I want to bring in Lauren Mathias now. She's the host of the very popular Hidden True Crime
Great
podcast.
channel, by the way.
She's been covering the case since the beginning. Let's talk about the scheduling of the trial first, because that was a big wow, a shocker. I didn't expect that to come in today. So they're proposing this summer, but they've got a few other asks as well. Lay that out for me.
Yeah, they're asking, as you mentioned, for the deadline for the trial dates, right? And they're also giving us a hint that it'll be early in the summer if this actually happens because they want school out of session. They're also asking for deadline for the jury questionnaire. They're asking a deadline for jury instructions. They're asking a deadline for
They're ready to
discovery
go
from both the defense and the prosecution. And this is just the beginning. They're not only asking for a trial date, they're asking for every other thing needed for a trial to happen this summer.
Man, they sound like they're so ready. I mean, I'm surprised. Again, you heard Richard Block talk about it, right? A year and a half is lightning fast for a murder trial, let alone a quadruple murder trial. And he said he gives it a 50-50 shot at actually being able to go ahead on that day. We all know how it works. Well, Judge, we need a continuance. Judge, we're not ready. Judge, we need a delay, you know. But let's talk about the prosecution showing up at the house today. You know, this was supposed to be planned months and months ago, that house would already be in detritus, right? So what were they doing? Do we have any idea?
I don't think this is soothing any minds that they were there 7 days before demolition is supposed to happen. We don't have any idea what they were doing because there's a gag order. So we can't hear what the prosecution was doing there. We can only sit here and speculate and wonder, what in the world would the prosecution want to do 7 days before the biggest piece of evidence, the crime scene, is demolished? And
Yeah.
it's not really, I think, soothing minds of people invested in this case and concerned about this case going to trial without this piece of evidence. They haven't asked, the prosecution hasn't asked to retain the house. So why do they need to go there again and again and this soon, just before it's supposed to be demolished?
I'm just shocked. I mean, again, like this time, well, maybe like January of last year, we were talking about how they had planned to bring the house down when the semester came to an end, and then again in the summer, and now again. So it's disturbing to me that there's something compelling enough inside that house that the prosecution would need to come back. It should be leveled if they had their way early on in this story. Okay, what about the online community? I'm getting the sense that, and it's not as though they have any, you know, influence here, but there are a lot of people who care a lot about these families, about this case, and about the prosecution. What's the online community suggesting in terms of their frustration with the demolition date?
There's a lot being voiced online, and you're right. So many people.
Here's the problem, Mike. It's already been signed off. That's the problem. The prosecution and the defense has already signed off to say it's okay. But there was a motion put in last time to slow things down. Now, I think the only way that this is going to stop now is something civilly gets put in. You know, I don't know how all this works. It's basically, I've talked about this. I've ranted about it on my videos the last couple of days. You know, Scott Green, the president of University of Idaho, has this big hard-on with knocking this house down. The fucking trial's not even here yet. It's not even over. It's not even completed. And I hate to beat this to death, but we have a lot of new people in the chat room tonight, and I'll give my point again. The way that house is, the way that it is structured, the way that it stands, okay? And I always compare this to my room. I'm in my bedroom right now. I'm in the corner of my bedroom. I know how this room feels acoustically, the way that the sound reverberates off the walls, the way that the feeling that I get inside this room, my body is vibrating. You know, our bodies vibrate. If you tear down that environment, and I know that it has changed, furniture has been moved out, the floors have probably been ripped up, walls have been cut out, but you know, and Steve Gonzalez made a great point about this the other night too. If you tear that house down, you're not going to have the opportunity, one, to go back, and two, you cannot replicate that environment through photos, videos, a 3D scanning. You're not going to get the feeling for that home. And Steve made a great point the other night on the video we were watching. That juror may want to be outside that house and look in those windows and see what they can, you know, see where can I see in that house? What can I see through those windows? Or a juror may want to walk into that home and stand in front of Dylan Mortenson's room and look around at maybe at the time of night at 4 a.m. Can I see someone standing there if I'm opening the door, looking through? Is there a possibility? How long does it take to get up those stairs and navigate back down to Xana's room? How long does it take to walk through that house? These are all good points, but once that is torn down, you can't do that. You can't go back and repeat that. And there was a point, you know, Steve made another good quote. You know, I would rather have something here and not need it than have it gone. And there's that 1% chance that you need to go back and confirm something. Once something is gone, it's erased from existence. It's gone. So, and I'll make this point a little bit shorter here. My whole thing that I think in all of this is Scott Green wants to tear down that home. He wants to get the memorial up. I was corrected the other day. I thought that the memorial was going to be put on the actual site of the home, but the rumor is they're going to build it at the university. Well, when you build a memorial, what happens? If you build it, they will come. People are going to have to want to go there and pay respects and visit. It's probably going to bring in hundreds of thousands of people, knowing how many people watch this case and stay in tune with it. When people come into town, what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to eat. They're going to have to stay at motels. Hey, while you're here, maybe you consider sending your child to the University of Idaho. Come check out the campus. To me, it feels like a big cash grab right now. Let's just make that go away, erase it, and let's pump up the school and get everybody over here checking things out. I don't know. I don't feel good about it. I really don't.
Care about this case and care about justice for these victims. One thing that we're hearing from a few people is some people saying, well, could we protest? Could we block the streets on December 28th? I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's how far some people are going and talking online right now is, could there be a protest formed in 7 days?
I talked about it. I said peaceful protest. It's your right. Go out and peaceful protest. I'm going to be home on the 28th. I'll be streaming. I'll be protesting. I hope someone's out there with a live stream. I hope there's some people out there, picketing their feelings, or the families show up and say this is wrong.
Listen, it's not pie in the sky. I remember watching the Gabby Petito case play out story. I didn't become a case, but the story play. And there were people from all over the country that got on airplanes to come down to the laundry's front yard. So, this is the kind of thing where passions run high and people are sad and frustrated, many in, solidarity with the families. So I can understand why that chatter is there. And I would understand if it happened. I could understand that we shouldn't count that out. Lauren Mathias.
All right, let's do one more here, and then we'll get to the lawyer. I want to hear his take on the summer trial. Here we go. This is from News Nation.
Quadruple murder suspect Brian Kohberger could be going to trial next summer. State prosecutors requested a 6-week summer trial. This is new. This came down with a filing yesterday for the stabbing suspect. They are seeking the time frame so the high-profile trial would not overlap while the local schools are in session. The University of Idaho, of course, where the 4 murdered students had attended, would be out for the summer. They'd be on summer vacation, and so would a local high school. There's actually a high school right next to the courthouse, so there were concerns about parking and safety issues. With the school being so close to the court, Kohberger has been held in an Idaho jail for nearly a year after being arrested for the brutal stabbings of the 4 students in November of last year. So, Lauren, I'm curious. I want to get back to you. I mean, I know the families have been very, very upset that there has not been a trial date scheduled. Now the prosecution saying we want summer, which, I mean, that's not that far away. You think this could actually happen in the summer?
It's interesting. They really push for it by saying that they don't want school in session, the high school or the university. They're saying not just the summer, they're saying early summer, right? Because this is a 6-week trial. In order to be able to not have school in session, how are we talking?
I'm glad that you brought that up, because here's the funny thing about that, Lynn. When there was new video showing the prosecution and the defense going back in there, prosecution went back out on the 31st, defense just recently went back out there, and then there was a rumor this past Thursday that the prosecution was back out there. Couple things you didn't see. No one was wearing a mask. No one was wearing one of those Tyvek suits to go in, any protective gear. So why is it okay that they can go in, but they don't want any of the jurors walking through there? Doesn't make sense. If it's such a biohazard, which I'm sure there probably is some areas in there that are bad, but if it's such a biohazard, then why was the prosecution not suiting up, the defense not suiting up, and they were allowed to walk through the house? Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense.
Talking May? Are we talking June? We are talking very soon. And that is lightning speed for any trial, let alone a quadruple murder trial. whether or not that can be facilitated,
Hey,
I
Ron,
mean,
how are
how
you,
important
man?
is it
Good
that
to see
school
you.
isn't
Good
in
to see you,
session?
man. Hope you're well.
It seems so surprisingly fast, but they are asking in this deadline, they're asking for jury instruction. They're asking for jury questionnaires. They're asking for discovery deadlines for both the prosecution and the defense. So it seems that they're really putting everything on the table to say, can we get this done and can we make this happen this summer? We'll see.
Yeah, and let's not forget, this is just the prosecution saying we want to do this by this summer and asking the judge. The defense hasn't said anything. So for all we know, they may be thinking like, no way, you haven't even given us all the discovery we want. There's no way we'll be ready to go. I mean, that seems like that's a possibility, right?
Absolutely, the defense could come back and say, "Are you kidding me?" As you point out, I mean, there are so many things that can happen. So it also makes me wonder. I have to say, okay, well, if they agree that school needs to not be in session, are we talking then 2025, or are we going to come to some sort of middle ground here? But right, anything could happen at this point. Right now, the prosecution has put this out, and now the defense, who knows what they'll say.
Yeah, and if they start talking 2025, I mean, I can tell you some of these families are going to be apoplectic because to make them wait that long with everything
100%.
they've been through, you know, they want this to happen sooner than later. So we'll see if it actually goes in the summer. Lauren Matthias, Merry Christmas. It's always good to see you. I hope you have a good holiday, and I'll see you in the new year.
All right, good stuff. Okay, cool. So we're going to go on to the Lawyer You Know video. He's going to explain the legal document that came out the other day. I want to hear his thoughts on it. Again, I only watched about 2 minutes of it. I like to, when I watch these videos with you all, I like to try to organically do it along with you all so we get the natural reaction when I hear things. Also, I want to let everybody know, if you're just coming into the room, I'm going to give away $25 tonight as a kind of little Christmas gift. If you want to enter and be entered for, is a couple of stipulations. One, you have to be in the chat when I do the drawing, and when I call out your name, you have to be present. Okay, so I don't want anybody getting in, signing up for it, and then leaving. I'm just going to redraw if you don't respond. Another thing is you have to have a Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. It just makes it a lot easier. After we call the winning name, all I need you to do is email me, and we'll get you set up. And I'll just get you your $25 over. So we'll probably do that halfway through the show. We got a little while longer to go. We'll do that, and then we'll do the drawing towards the end of the show. Okay, let's get into the Lawyer You Know. I just saw the 10 gifted memberships from Carrie. Thank you so much, Carrie. I appreciate your contributions. Let's see. DM, a new member. Cynthia, a new member. Texas, a new member. We have Leslie, a new member. RN. Lauren, MRN is C-Star, Terry, Late Girl, No F's Given, Southern Ball Mom, and let's see, I think that's it. You covered all of them. Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate that. You're so kind. The way memberships work, if you're new to that, you've been gifted a membership. It's a $4.99 membership, and it gives you access to all my membership content. If you go to my homepage, scroll all the way to the bottom, that'll give you access to all that members only content. I do a bunch of members only lives as well. The only thing I ask is, when that gifted membership runs out, it's going to ask you, do you want to renew it? And you can. You don't even have to do $4.99. My lowest level is $1.99, and that here helps support the channel and gives you access to all members only content. All right, let's move on to the Lawyer You Know. It's about a 15-minute video. We'll play this out, and then we'll get into the Kohberger Bluetooth theory. I'm excited to get back into that.
To another interesting discussion here on the Lawyer You Know. And thanks for joining me and sending me your questions and concerns regarding the timeline and schedule for this trial for Brian Kohberger.
Hashtag Mary will get you
for earlier this year
into the contest
within the speedy trial period that Brian Kohberger had demanded, which is his right. And then he waived his right, blamed some delays on the state, and now they're digging into DNA evidence and other confidential sealed things that we probably don't know about. And we've been hearing rumblings that the state is overly confident and they know that they are going to get a conviction. Yet we've seen Kohberger's team say things like, there's no connection to Kohberger and these victims. and there was no DNA evidence or blood or anything in the car. And the state has had opportunities to deny that, and they haven't. So there are still a lot of questions in this case. Yet, we have a recent filing where the state has asked for a summer of 2024. So just in a few months to start this 6-week trial. They have the parameters they're requesting around it, their reasoning for picking that time period. We're going to talk about that, look through that motion that they filed, and then discuss what the defense team might be thinking. We don't know yet. We'll see if they just agree to this trial date and we truck forward in a few months to a trial that is likely to captivate the nation and the media. So hit that like button if you guys haven't already, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we're covering a couple different cases, and a lot of people that follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Tragos Law on Instagram, Lawyer You Know on Twitter. Send us a lot of these things, and the more questions we have and the more people that send us this stuff, that is what makes it into our videos, and we take the time to look into, break down, and discuss with you. So it's a motion for a scheduling order when a lawyer files this when they want to get the trial on the books. They want the judge to lock it in, and then we set deadlines working backwards from there, when the discovery is due, when all the expert information is due, when motions have to be heard, when motions in limine are due, so we can know what we're arguing, so we know when we're picking our jury. We know where we're going to get the jury pool from, what questions we're going to ask them, how long we're going to have for that, how long we're going to have for opening statements, closing statements, the plaintiff or the state's case in chief and the defense's case in chief. All of those things have deadlines, and we usually get a trial date and we work backwards. So let's see what the state wants.
I want to let everybody know here, if you are new and you're watching my content, I do pause videos. I interact a lot with the crowd here. I don't play a video like straight through and I'm quiet. I will pause. I will make a point. I'll ask a question. So I know sometimes new people that come in, they get kind of irritated about that. I just say, if you want to seek these videos out, go check them out on the respective channels. I always call out the creator, who it is, and what video we're watching. The reason I have to do that is for fair use, of course, and I just can't come in and pirate and play someone's video straight through. I've used the Lawyer You Know in the past. He hasn't had any problems with what I do. So I just want to make that clear to everybody, because I know people have been getting on me about that lately. And we do live shows here. I'm like 95% live. So I hardly drop any videos. So that's why you'll see me pulling up chats and talking to the crowd and whatnot. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with how live streams work. Lollipops, thank you so much for becoming a new member. I appreciate that. Thank you for the support of the channel. I'm going to give away $25 tonight. Make sure to hit that hashtag Merry. You need to be in the room when I do the drawing, and you need to be able to have a Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo, so I can get that over to you. We do a quick verification process through email, so it takes a little bit of time, and we'll do that and then get you paid out. I promise. We gave away a lot of money last night, so it's just kind of my gift back to all the supporters. All right, let's play through. We'll hear what Peter Tragos has to say.
Comes now the state of Idaho by and through Latah County prosecuting attorney, and respectfully moves this court for a scheduling order addressing without limitation the following. So they want the court to schedule the trial, but they are requesting specific dates. They want the court to schedule a jury trial to run for approximately 6 weeks, including the penalty phase, which is interesting because that could be like a whole second trial. The state proposes that the court schedule the trial for the summer of 2024. So first off, when they pick 6 weeks, including the penalty phase, they have some idea, or at least they should, of what the defense is going to present, the amount of evidence, the amount of witnesses for the guilt phase and the penalty phase. And they should be working that in. They're not saying just the state's case is going to take 6 weeks, and if the defense needs 2 weeks, then let's make it an 8-week trial. They're working that in from discussions with the defense, would be my guess, and how it should be done. They want it to be done the summer of 2024. Why? Well, they say the trial dates avoid times when Moscow High School and our area universities are in session. As the court is aware, Moscow High School is directly adjacent to the courthouse premises, and already the significantly increased amount of media and other vehicles related to this case has strained available parking, as well as safety and convenience for pedestrians, including students. The court is also aware that when the local universities are in session, it is not infrequent for area lodging to become unavailable due to university-related activities such as sporting events, graduation, etc. So that is a good point. less people in the summer because they've got a lot of schools around, colleges, high schools. Less attention just because this is dealing with college students, I think, is another point. And then lastly, if anybody comes and visits for sporting events or anything else, they book the hotels, and it's not a just robust media epicenter or tourist epicenter where they just have all of these amenities available for the media attention that this case is sure to attract.
The state, that's what Scott Green would want. Scott Green would want that over at the University of Idaho. That's what he's hoping for. You know, all that green money to come in.
Also requests that the court sets a daily trial schedule of 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's a short day. That is a short day, which means if the court says 8:30 to 5, maybe it's only going to be 5 weeks and not 6 weeks, but I digress. For a trial of this length, it is appropriate to afford jurors some amount of time to tend to their personal affairs. I agree with that. I like that idea. It's going to be 6 weeks. We give them a couple hours at the end of every day. If they need to schedule appointments, things with families, pick their kids up from school, although it's the summer. Additionally, having more time in the afternoon allows for better preparation by the parties and allows for reasonable opportunities and time for the court and counsel to address any motions or other matters that routinely arise during the course of jury trials. Now, I will say, this seems obvious. Wow, that's a great idea. We've seen in so many trials how it's so difficult to get these things done, handle these motions, handle the issues that pop them in trial. But I will tell you, most judges don't want this stuff popping up during trial, like we saw in Maya and Murdoch and et cetera. They don't want hours of motions and arguments to happen during trial. We as lawyers and the trial court, the judge, is supposed to handle these issues before the case goes to trial.
Right.
We shouldn't build in things that we forgot to do before trial, motions we forgot to file, motions that are untimely, because what does this do? This leaves the opportunity for lawyers to say, Judge, we've got 2 hours at the end of the day. Let's just handle this on day 3 of trial. If I'm the trial court judge, I would not want that.
Right.
Now, with the case of this magnitude and all eyes on this case, it makes sense to potentially allow for a couple hours of that. But if you're wondering why that's just not the norm in every trial, since we've seen it pop up so often, and it does happen, but judges can keep the pressure on lawyers when they say, get here at 8 o'clock in the morning. We're starting the jury at 9. So you've got an hour in the morning. That puts a lot more pressure on the lawyers. It is harder, but we're supposed to have this stuff done and be prepared ahead of time. Stuff will always pop up. So once or twice during trial, we're going to have to deal with these sorts of things. But to build it in for potentially it happening every day, a little more difficult. In the state's experience, this type of a daily trial schedule is typically appreciated by jurors as well as court staff and counsel. Sure, shorter days are always better. You know who else is appreciated by? Streamers that are streaming the trial, or people that are covering it at night. It's a lot easier to break down only 6 hours of stuff rather than 8 hours.
Right.
What else does the court want, or what does the state want the court to set? Deadlines for completion of discovery for both the state and the defense. Makes sense. They didn't put what that is, so we'll see what they want those deadlines to be. Is it 60 days before trial, 30 days before trial? Deadlines for both parties to make expert disclosures pursuant to ICR 16B7 and C4. Because once you disclose the experts, you got to get them deposed, get the reports, get them cross-examined, get your counter expert to respond potentially or do a report based on what that expert says. So it can't just be done a week before trial. Deadlines for filings of pretrial motions and responses and replies thereto, including but not limited to motions in limine, which is what you want to keep out, motions relating to the death penalty, and any motions under ICR 12B. So what's interesting is the purpose of setting the deadline of these motions is so that you have a lot less things popping up in trial that you need the last 2 hours of each day to handle. Number 5, deadline for jury questionnaire proposals. Number 6, deadlines for proposed jury instructions. Number 7, deadline for proposed witnesses pursuant to ICR 16B6 and C3. Deadlines for Rule 404B notices. Dates for pretrial motions to be heard. So you file the motions, the responses, and then any replies that are allowed by the court. Then you have to have time to actually have them argued. Sometimes it can be an hour, sometimes it can be a day, depending on what the motion is. So you have to make sure all of that is set ahead of time so that we can get these answers as lawyers so that we can prepare for trial, prepare our case, know what we can and can't say in opening statements and closing arguments, know what we can tell our witnesses. Okay, you can't talk about that. So all of this has to be done before trial, and we should not be making these decisions during trials. That's where problems occur. Any other matters to facilitate the orderly progress of this?
Hey, real quick, I just want to take a gauge in the chat. How many people is it their first time coming in and watching my channel tonight? If this is your first time here, just type in first in the chat. I'm just curious to see, because for for a while, things were very down, and I'm just seeing a lot of people come in. So I'm wondering if I'm kind of in the algorithm loop right now. But I'm just curious. If you're first time over here, just type first in the chat. Yeah, you're funny, Tsunami. You've been here since like day one, so don't even start that. But I'm just trying to get a gauge on how many people. Wow, a lot of first timers here. Well, welcome in. Thank you. Hopefully you like my stream and you'll come back. A lot of first timers. Did you find me through the video that I dropped today about the Bluetooth speaker? Or are you just finding my live? Yeah, Phil, funny. A lot of first timers. Okay. Did you find me through the Bluetooth video that I dropped today, or did you just find my live today? All right. A lot of first timers. Great. Well,
case toward trial.
Thank you.
The state notes that in this court's August 22nd, 2023 scheduling order, this is the one they scheduled for, I believe, the December trial date. So we already have kind of what this court does as far as what the dates it usually picks, and I expect it to be very similar.
Thank you.
The court set a date certain for sentencing disclosures, including witnesses, exhibits, expert reports, and any other evidence. So those are things that are going to be put forth in the sentencing phase: mitigating factors, aggravating factors. The state requests that the court allow the parties further opportunity to supplement their disclosures following receipt and review of the opposing parties' initial disclosures. Usually that's appropriate. The court's August 22, 2023 scheduling order also directed the submission of trial exhibits and names of witnesses. The state again requests that the court afford the parties to the opportunity to supplement those responses after they have had the opportunity to review and consider the initial submissions of the other party. Makes sense. In its August 22nd, 2023 scheduling order, the court afforded the defendant an additional opportunity to provide notice of alibi in accordance with the court rule and statute.
The only reason I'm asking is the algorithm's been really wacky lately. And that video actually really took off for me today. So it's nice to bring in some new audiences. And it's really nice to, get some of you over here. I also want to let you know, I do a bunch of other cases on here as well. I've been extensively covering Chelsea Grimm, a missing young lady from San Diego, California that went missing in Arizona. I have her full case file. I have a very comprehensive file about her on my homepage. I've been covering the Karen Reed case out of Massachusetts. I also am the first and only exclusive person to get the full Brent Kopaka case file. So I've been dropping all of that body cam footage here. And I have actually probably 15% of the case file right now as far as documents. That's going to take until March, but every Tuesday we get new dumps and I upload all the footage, and I've been dropping that. There's over 200 hours of video, and I will be dropping all of that here on LTL True Crime Podcast. So lots of great lives over here. And again, I have many people in here right now. Just want to let you know, I go live just about every single night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're not getting the notification, even if you have your bell notification turned on, if you're not getting it, just come here at that time. And I'm sure that I'm streaming. You can pop in and just watch me stream. All right, let's get through the rest of this video, and then we'll start getting into the Bluetooth because I really want to explore that a little bit more.
The state submits that the defendant has already been afforded this opportunity and that the court heard argument on motions relating to such. The state submits that.
Again, really quick, and I tend to talk a lot. I'm a talker. It's for me, my dream is, I work a full-time corporate job. My dream by this time next year, on Christmas Day next year, my dream is to be a full-time creator, to not ever have to go back to a full-time job. I would even just love it if I could go down to a part-time job and do this full-time for the rest of my life. That is my dream. So I am really trying to push this channel. I put a shit ton of work into this channel. I'm always, every free moment, my last 9 months have paused because I've done everything that I can to elevate this channel and get it out there and, really grow it. And I have big dreams for this channel. I want to get out of my bedroom into a studio, start getting live guests in, have multi streams going, and just, I have so many great ideas and I know it can happen. And I feel like 2024 is going to be an amazing year for LTL True Crime Podcast. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for being for new subscribers. And I hope you get a lot of value out of this because that's, obviously what I want to do as a creator. So, all right, we'll continue playing here. Sorry, I'm a chatter.
Opportunity for the defendant to disclose an alibi and notify the state of the same has passed and asked the court not to reopen this issue. Doesn't matter. I think if he's got a legitimate alibi, no deadline's going to keep it out. But I also think if he had a legitimate alibi outside, if he was driving around and not there, something corroborated by witnesses or documents, he would have provided it by now. That's just one man's opinion. I don't think the judge is really going to ever cut him off. If it would help in identifying the dates and scheduling, the state would recommend that the court schedule a status conference on the record for the purpose of scheduling. That makes sense. And if they do, we can probably watch, since there are, in fact, cameras in the courtroom. And this was filed yesterday.
Getting there.
So we know what the state wants, and that is a trial date, 6 weeks in the summer of 2024.
Thank you.
I guess that could mean late May, June, July, August, whatever. August usually is when school starts back up. So here's what I'm thinking as far as Kohberger's side. At this point, the benefit of a speedy trial was benefiting the state, so much so that Kohberger thought it was unfair. They were not providing discovery in a timely manner, especially the DNA stuff and other things that they kept fighting and requiring the court to compel them to produce certain discovery. So they waived that right to speedy trial. So at this point, my opinion, the way it should be, as horrible as it sounds, is the defendant should basically tell the state when he's ready for trial. And if he's not ready and has a legitimate reason because of delay in discovery, difficulty getting experts, difficulty communicating with the client or the lawyers, whatever it may be, then the judge should and probably will not pick this date or continue the trial at the request of the defendant. The state probably was more ready before, should be ready.
I'm going to tell you, if defense is not ready. I mean, what was the alibi we got? What was the alibi we got? You know, his horrible alibi, that alibi that he thinks is going to work. He's just driving around. That's all he was doing. He was driving late. I mean, to me, that sounded a lot like the killer was doing that night, going on a long drive. But Kohberger's alibi, no driving around, no particular person that he saw that night, not saying that he was in any particular area. I mean, I'm sorry. If I get up and I know that I'm going somewhere, I can remember where I'm going. Like, I remember where I went 2 nights ago or 3 nights ago or a week ago. I can tell you where I drove. I can tell you where I went to eat. I can produce a receipt at a gas station and said, sorry, dude, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I was getting gas at the local Shell station up the street. We didn't get any of that. So, I mean, come on. I think we know where this is all leaning. I think we know where this is all leaning.
Now, seems like they are ready and they want to push this to trial. The victims very well likely probably want and continue to want this case to get pushed to trial. They do not want this to get delayed. They want justice. And at this point, they probably believe that the state has the right guy and they want to move this forward and see all the evidence that the state says they have and convict the bad guy for what happened to their kids and their family members. And I don't blame them for that at all. But the constitutionally protected right of due process and a fair trial and competent prepared counsel is what is most important at this point. So I think 2024 summer seems a little soon. That's what I've been saying this whole time. I was thinking end of 24, early 25, but they make some good points here about the issues that may happen if school is in session. So maybe they wait till May of 2025, the very beginning of summer 2025.
We'll go nuts.
That seems like forever away. But to me, if I'm judge, and the defendant objects to this trial date or doesn't want this trial date, if I can lock in May of 2025 and put all the dates backing up, the defendant better have a...
Yeah, but you didn't circle a house 12 times before and bring a K-bar knife with you. That, you know what I mean? And you didn't conveniently turn off your phone in the said time that you're down in that area. You know what I mean? Come on. we know
really good reason to delay the case any more than that. And if we can lock in a day, a year and a half from now, I know nobody's going to like that. It doesn't seem great. It seems like delayed justice, and I understand, but we don't want to give anybody any arguments for appeals that we can avoid on either side. We want this to be a fair trial. We want it to be due process. We want counsel on both sides to be prepared. Now, if the judge thinks ain't no way this should take that long, he has seen evidence we haven't seen, they've done a lot of things in camera and confidentially, then maybe he'll say, sure, summer of 2024, there's plenty of time for you guys to get ready. I would be surprised at a case of this magnitude with this much evidence for them to be ready that quickly as the defense.
We're going to get to that.
But if we remember back to Brian Kohberger's quote, he looks forward to exonerating himself or something to that nature.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is summer of 2024 too soon? Is it too long of a wait? And if you think it's too soon, what do you think would be an appropriate time period for this trial? I think 6 weeks with that time schedule, I actually think that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty efficient if they can get it done that way. So we'll continue to look out, see if the court does a scheduling order, if they hold a hearing on it, if the defense responds, what they want or when they want and how long they want or believe the trial will take, which will also give us an indication as to how much evidence Kohberger, at least at this point, is planning on putting on. So let me know what you think in the comments of this video. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Until next time, I'm out of here.
All right. Good lawyer. Good video from the lawyer you know. Okay, let's talk about the Bluetooth and about Kohberger's Bluetooth and why I think that there's a possibility that it connected, or at least what they say, and Ron brought this up last night, is handshake with possibly some of the digital devices in the home, specifically Kaylee's speaker, her Bluetooth speaker. And I had kind of an aha moment. I had been actually thinking about this for a little while. A couple of streams, my head was kind of spinning about this. And I was actually talking to Carrie H. She's in the chat. She's my lead mod and helps me do a lot of the paperwork behind the scenes, getting FOIA requests. But I remembered something about this Bluetooth speaker that was brought up like 8 to 10 months ago. And it kept always spinning in my head because now we know about the knife sheath, and the Gonzalez family just came out and did a recent interview with Brian Entin on the anniversary. And there was just all these nuggets that came out. They were talking about Kaylee's cell phone, that they hadn't received it back yet. They have some of her laptops. And then all of a sudden he said, they have Kaylee's Bluetooth speaker. I don't know why they would have that. And I went, aha. That's the moment I was waiting for, because when this all started up it was back in like February, I think. And let me just pull the article up. There was some articles that started coming out about possibly, this was February of 2023, possibly could a Bluetooth speaker provide additional key pieces of evidence in the Idaho 4 murders? And it says a source with the knowledge of the investigation revealed that Idaho victim Kaylee Gonzalez had a Bluetooth speaker in her bedroom. So I got to thinking, and it said, even if the phone was in airplane mode, a phone still could potentially connect to a Bluetooth device. So I got to thinking about it, and I said, could this be true? So I was talking about this on stream the other night, and you probably saw it in my most recent video, that, when you stand here and you have, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on, like right now, my phone's trying to connect to, you can see it here on this side. My phone's trying to connect to, oh gosh, I just got more, probably about 6, 7, devices. Well, look at all the Bluetooth devices that it's starting to try to connect with. So what this is doing is sending out a signal, a low watt signal to those devices. And it's saying, hey, it's kind of tapping it, it's knocking it on its tapping on its shoulder, hey, can we connect? Is it okay if we connect? So it's searching that device, and it's constantly kind of trying to handshake, with that device. And I said, wow, is this a possibility? Is this real? Or is this just a rumor? Because at the time, and I went back and looked, I made one video about this when it came out. And the funny thing is, it didn't get any views. And I said, this could potentially be another huge piece of evidence. And the reason I thought that was, let's say, they say in the PCA that Kohberger was in and around the King Road home at least 12 times before the night of the murders. Okay, so his cell phone pinged in and around the area of King Road. And I thought to myself, if his phone was down there, he had to have passed by the house at least a couple of times. And let's just say that he got in front of the house, drove by it. Is there a possibility that his phone tried to handshake or connect with Kaylee Gonzalez's speaker? Because that speaker would be on. I don't know what kind of Bluetooth device it is. It would be crazy if it was an Amazon device like a Dot. Oh gosh, that would probably pull so much information, you know. It would be crazy if it's like an Alexa device or a Dot, because that's probably going to pull a ton of information from your phone. I don't know really the logistics of all that, but I'm pretty sure it does. And if it's just maybe a normal Bluetooth speaker, then it's still going to pull information and show you who's trying to connect with the device. We're going to watch a video here in a second, and you have an expert on that can talk a little bit more about this. And this was a video that dropped, I said, like back in February. And he said, something that you have to remember, have you ever been to a hotel and you've gone to that hotel and you've turned your Bluetooth on or Wi-Fi and you make that connection with that device in the room or maybe the hotel? And let's say you leave and then you come back on vacation, maybe a year later or a couple months later, or maybe you go back for a conference or something and you're back in that hotel and you pull up your Bluetooth or your Wi-Fi, your phone is going to try to connect to those devices again because it remembers that it was there. So to me, I thought, well, if Kohberger had been down in that area, and let's say the possibility that he tried to connect to that device, his phone tried to connect to the device, or he fucked up and he actually connected to it to try to hack into it or something, or just by accident he connected to it, it's going to have a record of his phone pinging into that device. It's going to save that information. I've heard things about Alexa accounts where people have gone on tirades about their boss or said something negative about their neighbor, and it's taken a whole transcript of what they said through that, or it's copied emails and it's repeated emails back to them. So there's been malfunctions of that. So it does pull records. And let's just say he gets out there and it does connect to that Bluetooth device, and he goes on maybe like Google or something, and he's Googling, searching stuff there. It could possibly see the searches that he was doing in and around that house. And I said, even if he came into that neighborhood that night, obviously we know he did. And I'll be very, very honest here. My stance here is I think the evidence is very strong against Bryan Kohberger. I think Bryan Kohberger committed this crime, and I have the freedom to say that. Some in the chat may disagree with me, and I understand innocent until proven guilty. I get it. I respect it. But my stand here, in my opinion, is I think Kohberger is involved. I think Kohberger did it. So let's just say even on the night that he returns to the house and he turned the phone off or airplane mode, it still makes the connection that he had been there. He had been there previously, and they can at least show that. Maybe they don't show anything on the night that he's been there, but at least they say, hey, you were down there on August 1st. You were in that neighborhood and you connected to Kaylee's Bluetooth device. Also, on the night of the murder, we have the knife sheath in the bed with your DNA on it next to two dead people. And all this evidence now is going to start adding up. So let me just pull up that video. We'll go through it. And I think it's a really good video to go through. And it's going to explain a lot of the logistics of how all this works. And I also have some other information that I want to pull up and talk about that as well, too. All right, here we go. From News Nation, this is Banfield.
When I said I want to get into
it was back 10 months ago, February 10, 2023.
The nitty gritty, that's Clark Walton's space. He is a principal forensics and cybersecurity expert for Reliance Forensics. He's board certified in data security. He's a former cybersecurity analyst for the CIA. He's also a former prosecuting attorney. Mwah, chef's kiss. You are perfect, Clark, for this. Look, get me sort of on and off the ledge on this, because I always want to know that there's lots of evidence. If you're going to bring a guy in and charge him with quadruple murder, I want to know that there's lots of really good evidence. This would seem like it would put a guy right in the room alongside the DNA on the knife sheath. But why might it not work? Let's just look at the other side. Why might this not work?
Right. So your phone, as you know, when you're walking around with it, it is trying to talk to the rest of the world any number of ways, right? Bluetooth and your cellular antenna and near field communication.
Yeah, it's going to talk about that here, Lynn. And I'm also going to pull up some language on Bluetooth as well, too, and the distance and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to pull that up. I think these are great points, and I'm glad that everybody's really into this and focusing in this. So, you know, we'll pull that up. I love these aha moments, you know, and this is what I always love. And I've done series on my channel before where I've gone and looked back. And it was funny. Carrie was saying to me the other day, hey, you should do another looking back because we're kind of revisiting and seeing new things here that I haven't seen before, or things that have been talked about. So, you know, I just always think it's a good idea. Micro Kim gives the $5. Thank you so much for the $5. Get the bell back in there. She said, I feel like BK hid a Wi-Fi Bluetooth speaker spying device in the plant in the kitchen with spilled dirt. He dug it out on his exit. That could be quite possibly. I also had a feeling, and I said this a long time ago too, I don't think it was the first time that he's been in that home. And I'm not saying like he's been there for a party or anything. It could be a quite possibility that he snuck in that house before to get the, you know, the what do they call that? The land of the layout of the land. I feel like he possibly could have done that before. And no one would even have noticed because there's so many students that walk in and around that area at so many times. So he went down there, he surveyed the movement on the house. He knew when people would be out of there, they would be at their classes. He goes in, sneaks in, gets into the house because the house was probably never locked. You know what I mean? The door was probably in Idaho. I don't think many people lock their doors. So he probably got his way in, surveyed that house very early, got through the lay of the land, figured it out, probably went home and wrote a map somewhere or whatever. Or I know that you can at least get into the realty aspects of it and see the rooms because that was all online. But I'm sure maybe he did that. And he could have possibly been a sick fuck and timed his way through that house, you know, digitally. We know that they were looking at the app that supposedly he used to go on his runs. And I can't think of the app off the top of my head, but they were looking into that. You know, maybe he was using that to time it or something. I don't know. But it starts to kind of reinvigorate and starts making you think about a lot of the stuff again. Carrie H with the 8-month membership. Thank you so much. She says, I think he used a signal jammer so that no one could call 911. That could be a possibility. Great possibility. All right, let's play through this and get a little educated on how Bluetooth works.
And but it doesn't necessarily mean that those attempted handshakes that you just referenced are necessarily being recorded. Not every single action that your phone takes is necessarily going to stick with that phone. If a forensic examiner were to look at it days, weeks, months later, yes, that handshake could have occurred, but is there going to be a record of it on the device that a forensic examiner can pull back?
Okay, so let me take that one step further, and I'm going to just be full disclosure here. I am a complete idiot when it comes to this stuff. I have to hit all the buttons 100 times and then reset just to get something to work. But I do know this, my phone is connected to my Bluetooth speaker, and my phone knows when I go from portrait to landscape, and it keeps that as a record, as I learned in the Murdoch trial. What if Kaylee's speaker was connected to her phone? Because presumably they're all up on the 3rd floor, right? You're going to have your phone upstairs when you go to bed, even if you're 50 feet away in the other bedroom. Will that perhaps keep a record?
That would keep a record. And so have you ever noticed, you know, you'll spend a night in a hotel and you'll not come back to that hotel for months, and then you'll go back to that hotel and it will automatically connect your phone back to Wi-Fi like you'd been there the day before. Your iPhone does keep a record of what Wi-Fi networks you've connected to, certain information about those networks, the name, the password, the last date and time, importantly, potentially for this case, the last date and time that phone was connected to that Wi-Fi network. And the same works for Bluetooth as well. It keeps a listing of Bluetooth assets that you have connected to at a certain point in the past in time. So let's say hypothetically, at some point in the past, Kohberger's phone had initiated or completed a handshake with really any other device in proximity to that house, coming back in close proximity to that house, even if the phone were in airplane mode, as was pointed out, that Bluetooth connection may likely still be enabled, and that handshake could occur. That evidence would stay on the phone, and that's something that a forensic examiner could later take and say, yes, this phone was within Bluetooth communication of this speaker, this microwave, this thermostat, that type of thing at this point in time.
This is probably a yes or no.
Here's the thing, and I think he's going to explain that here too. But I want to make this clear with everybody. So the iPhone, the way that it works, the way that I understand that it works is what's the one thing that you notice on the iPhone? Okay, obviously it has a camera, it has a dialer, all that, right? There's no off button. It takes a lot to turn the iPhone off. I have heard, and I'm not an expert, but I have heard that even if you power the iPhone off, and I think this is the same with Android devices now as well, because technology is advanced, your phone is still sending out a low frequency signal at all times. So all those apps in the background are still running and it's still collecting data. And that's why they don't allow you. Remember the old days? What could you do in a digital phone in the old days? 10 years ago, you could take the battery out. If you took the battery out, that would kill the phone. Okay. But now you don't have the ability to take the battery out. So you still, even if you turn the phone off, it's still running a low vibration. It's still sending out signals. That's why I'm saying, even if his phone was off, even if the phone was off and he had it with him, it's still going to collect data, telemetry, what are some other things? Movement, GPS locations. And the minute that phone gets fired up on full power, what is it going to do? It's going to upload all those signals back to the cloud. It's going to collect that data. That's why cast information in cases are so important now. And I urge everybody, if you're new to this, go over and check out the Murdoch trial. Just type in FBI agent Murdoch trial and CAST, C-A-S-T. That is going to explain a lot how your iPhone or an Android phone works and how it collects this data. And it's so good that they had Murdoch down to, I believe, inches of where he was located on that property. Let me just pull this up really quick. Carrie again with a 10. Thank you so much, Carrie. I appreciate your memberships. And let's just go back up. And I just want to announce all the new members here. We have Jenna from Texas, Texas Ranger, Lynn GM, Holly's in the chat, Missy RN, Candace, Amy in Boston, Kristen, Brendan, Kylie. Thank you so much for becoming members. Again, those memberships are free. They're a $4.99 membership. And I just ask the end of the free membership when it runs out, just re-sign back up. You don't have to sign back up for $4.99. Just hit the $1.99. Gives you access to all of the content here and all my members only content. All right, let's keep playing forward here.
Oh, but if the speaker is turned off, does it still emit a Bluetooth signal, or is off when it comes to
off is off? Off is off.
Okay. How about the car? Let's talk about this 2015 Elantra. Some people have said they don't have the infotainment system. Some people have said they do. So maybe it's kind of, haphazard on the 2015. But if Kohberger gets into his Elantra with his phone, right? Because he's driving. We already know he had his phone with him because well, at least according to the authorities, he is driving out of Pullman or around, Pullman at 2:48, 2:47, I think I said the time was. Look, 2:47 a.m. And then he, hauls back in and is back online. He basically turns the phone back on or does whatever at 4:48 a.m. If he's in that car, is it going to handshake him to the car? Because right now we know an Elantra that belongs to him was at the murder scene, and a defense attorney will say, who was driving? Did you see him behind the wheel? But if his phone connected to his Bluetooth and went to the murder scene, now that's a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah, there may very likely be a record of that. I mean, the data that I've seen in the public record is based of where he was is based on the cell tower pinging, the location, which is much less accurate and much more, covers a greater area than the Bluetooth communication. Obviously, you have to be much closer to a device to ping off of that with your phone. And there are records of that kept in the device, in the phone. Sorry, I'm looking down at my iPhone here, I guess expecting it to do something. But yes, I mean, we have seen we've worked other types of cases, other types of homicides, cases where car accident cases, a lot of times you'll see.
I'm going to recognize this. Lucy, thank you so much for the 5 gifted. Cam Miller, Drew has been gifted a Elizabeth, Kit Kat, Amy, let's see, Hillbilly Nitro USA gifted all those memberships. Thank you so much. I just want to do this because someone was just talking about Brent Kopaka. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to tell you right now. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now. Let me just open up my folder. Let me just pop this up really quick. When I get my voice back, I will make sure that I go through the document or documents on Brent Kopacka. Let's see. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows that it's legit. I'm going to pull this up here. I'm just going to show you. I've read through the case file. I'm actively reading through it. And I will show you. I have the Brent Kopacka case file. I've been dropping all the body cam footage. So I have everything. It's 75 pages, this document here, and there's still a lot more that we're going to get. It's going to take me hours to go through this, but I have the file. And I can tell you right now, there is not one mention. There is not one mention of Brent Kopacka being involved in the Idaho 4 murders. So I'm going to make sure today that we end that rumor here on Christmas Day, 2023. Brent Kopacka was not involved in the Idaho 4 murders. I have the case file straight from Pullman, Washington. I get the drop every Tuesday. They send me new documents. I've been releasing all the body cam footage. Now, Brent Kopacka was a Purple Heart recipient. Brent Kopacka needs to rest in peace. I'm going to tell you, I'm not happy what I've seen, the way that Pullman has handled the case. And I will have my determination at the end of it. Right now, I possibly see there could be a huge civil trial. As we get into Brent Kopacka, you will come to realize Brent Kopacka used nasty, vile language out of his mouth that day. Words that I would never want to hear anybody say, and words that would never come out of my mouth. And I can't be judge and jury on that. I've made my decision about it. But you will hear about the language that he used on that day. It's nasty. It's vile. It's racist. And I don't condone any language like that. I don't say language like that. It's disgusting. And that's my feeling on that. But as far as him being involved in Idaho 4 murders, didn't happen. A lot of people do these things and they spin these things up for clicks and views. What I do here is get close to the cases, put them out there. If we can get the FOIA requests, we'll drop it, put them out there, and get the truth out there. So that's kind of my shtick on Brent Kopacka. All right, let's go back to the video. We'll finish that one up. And then I have a couple more here. And then I want to show you that aha moment that I had.
A Bluetooth was activated and started playing music or something like that. And then a car accident occurs moments later. I mean, that's a fairly common thing to see.
It fascinates me to think that somebody could think, well, I'm just going to turn my phone off and I'll go dark. But that phone stayed more than likely light if it were connected to the car. And then that car continued on its merry way. So the footprint would continue even though the cell towers lost him. All of this allegations, he has the right to remain innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But man, this evidence, it's pretty fascinating stuff. Hey, Clark, thank you for this. I said you were the right person and I was right. Will you come back again?
Thank you.
Oh, man.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to break into this really quick. This is a case that we follow here in depth. And I'm sorry to break in on this stream about it, but I want to let everybody know and be aware of this. And thank you for the update. This is a verification from 25 Investigates. There's been a BOLO issued for Turtle Boy. Be on the lookout issued. Law enforcement be on the lookout has been issued for Aiden Carney, the Holden blogger who calls himself Turtle Boy. Two sources, including a member of law enforcement, told 25 Investigates that police are seeking to immediately be on the lookout for Carney on probable cause for felony charges of a domestic assault and battery and witness intimidation. This new development stems from an incident Carney was allegedly involved on Friday evening at a Medford home of a woman he's been in a relationship with. According to the sources, 25 Investigates is still working to determine that a woman, what the woman alleged Carney did to her. The sources said the woman had previously shared information about Carney with state police investigators and considered a witness in an ongoing prosecution that began with his arrest in district court appearance in October. The case has elevated to Norfolk Superior Court, where Carney was arraigned Friday on 8 counts of intimidation of a witness, 3 counts of conspiracy to intimidate a witness, and 5 counts of picketing a witness for controversial activism in the Free Karen Read movement. Carney's been aggressively accused members of law enforcement and prosecution witnesses for framing Read for the death of her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe. She's charged with second-degree murder and has pled not guilty. 25 investigative report early this month. It's going to go into, wow, a bolo has been issued for Aidan Carney, the blogger, I'm now I got suckered into that. The journalist, Turtle Boy. Again, we don't jump to conclusions. This could be a fabrication, knowing that all of the issues that he's going through, and we will hear from him. And wow, breaking news, and I will continue to follow the story. All right, let's get back here to Idaho 4. All right, here we go.
Thank you for watching.
The video's over. Look at that. Perfect timing. All right, let me pull up one more here. I got a couple more of these Bluetooth, and then I want to show you that aha moment. All right, here we go. It's about a minute long here.
Another source close to News Nation revealed that the victim, Kaylee Gonsalves, actually had a Bluetooth speaker in her bedroom during the killings. Could that speaker or other Bluetooth devices like it be used in any way for clues, even if they weren't connected?
So I would think that the best thing that they're going to use that Bluetooth speaker for, and my former colleague and friend actually did a great interview really breaking this all down on Banfield, Clark Walton, and he does a great job really discussing the intricacies of it. But just in short, what it could do is if Kohberger's phone tried to connect with that Bluetooth device, that's what all of our phones do. They're constantly trying to connect to whatever devices that are, whether they're in the Elantra, whether it's in her home, and that would go towards placing Kohberger physically or his cell phone at the scene of the crime, which really gives more credence to his DNA sheath being there, him potentially being spotted with the bushy eyebrows. That really speaks to the totality of evidence, because now you have 3 things that physically put him there.
Okay, Tracy Walder, always appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Okay, let me just pull this up really quick. And I'm sorry, Micro, I missed this earlier. Sometimes when the show is flowing, I miss some chats, but my moderator let me know. Said, Find My iPhone is always tracking even when your phone is off. In an airplane mode, you can still use Bluetooth Wi-Fi. I trained tech support agents for Verizon 5 years, and I can explain how this guy is done. Wow. Big, huge. Take a snapshot of that, everybody. Micro, if you ever want to come on LTL True Crime Podcast and explain this, I would love to have you on the show. Reach out to me at Let's Talk Live Podcast at gmail.com. If someone can drop my email, I would love that. If you want to call in, or I could send you a link, you don't have to show your face. I won't have you do that, but if you want to be on camera, you can. We can work out the details, and I would love to have you on another show to explain this, because it sounds like you are an expert, and this will put some ending to a lot of the rumors, because I don't say shit here. I do my research, and I don't put falsehoods in. We stick to the case details, but please reach out to me. I'd love to have you on. Thank you for the 10, by the way. Reach out to me. Let's Talk Live Podcast at gmail.com. We'll set something up, and I'd love to have you come on and talk about this, because I think you have a lot of value and things that you could add here. By the way, I'm going to do a drawing here for $25 pretty soon, give away some Christmas money. If you want to partake, I only have 44 people involved right now. There's 512 people in this chat, okay? All you need to do is this. Have a Venmo, a Cash App, or a PayPal account. You have to be in the chat when I draw it and respond when I ask for you. And you have to be able to verify yourself by the time of the end of the stream so I can pay you out. If you want to be involved, if you want to be involved in the drawing, it's $25 free. Just put in the chat, #Merry, #MERRY, and we're going to do that giveaway pretty soon here. All right. I have a couple of more videos, and then I want to get to the aha moment, and then we'll do the drawing for the 25 smackaroos. Okay, here we go. Another video on
Kaylee's dog, on the other hand, Murphy, was put into Kaylee's room most likely by the killer, and closed into that room and discovered there by the police. So our source, who has intimate knowledge of this investigation, told us about this Bluetooth.
Real quick, LTL True Crime Podcast just passed 12,700 subscribers. So I thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate you. Really good milestone, and 15,000 seems so close. So close. All right, let's keep playing through here.
The speaker. And if you do some of the digital math, if Brian Kohberger took his phone into that house, and he very well may have, if he's the killer, he may have thought himself so darn clever that just putting it on airplane mode would mask everything, shut off every single digital piece of footprint. It's on airplane mode. Nobody can see me now. Unless, of course, it reached out to a Bluetooth device. If there were a Bluetooth device nearby, which now we know there was. So I've got a lot of reporting on that, and I've got an expert who's going to walk.
Real quick, I just want to pop in here. I have some breaking news on Aidan Carney. There's been a statement that was released 5 hours ago via his Facebook page. And it says PSA, and I know I have a lot of Turtle Boy supporters here in the room, so I just want to get this news out. PSA regarding Aidan. As everyone is seeing on other pages and platforms, yes, something is going on with Aidan. However, it is not anything like it sounds. It's being handled with his attorneys and law enforcement. Please be patient and mindful, as this is a sensitive and personal matter. This will be the only post made, and the admins of this page would appreciate refraining from new posts about this. I would like to add that it is illegal to file a police report with false allegations, and anyone who does such is a thing should be ashamed of themselves. Now go celebrate Christmas. Merry Christmas to all. And again, that's why we do not judge first. We like to hear the facts. And again, we'll probably hear from Turtle Boy soon, what it's looking like right now, that this is someone trying to spin some shit up on him because of the conditions that he's under right now. We will wait for his answer. All right, let's keep playing forward here with the Bluetooth devices.
Walk you through all the steps of why that may or may not work, but the key here is may. It just may. So that's just one more critical piece of a prosecution's case. Because if you lose one, and you only have one, you may lose it all. Bloody glove. If it don't fit, you must acquit.
Scotty, thank you so much for the 15 on Buy Me a Coffee. I do appreciate that. Thanks for the support.
All sorts of stuff like that happens in a case. The most critical piece of evidence can be denigrated, and a jury can be convinced, maybe not reasonably, but they can be convinced that it's not good evidence. So the more the merrier, you might say. Couple of things that you should know as well. There's something called a handshake that devices actually give out.
About this.
And when you put your device on airplane mode, it doesn't mean you can't connect to Bluetooth. You're not going to reach out to the Wi-Fi. You're not going to reach out to the cell towers, but you can reach out to Bluetooth, and you might not even know it's happening. So if Kohberger were driving around in that Elantra, switching it to airplane mode as he got out of Pullman, and felt as though it was still in airplane mode as he pulled into Moscow, and still in airplane mode, perhaps in his hip pocket as he walked into that house. We got news for you. There's action. Those things actually don't stay dormant.
Yep.
And here's something critical. Early in this investigation, in the first, week plus,
I'm glad that you're here.
when we were still getting public news conferences, the Northwest Public Broadcasting reporter named Lauren Patterson was sitting in the press corps, and she asked a question of the authorities who were continging
I'm a huge
the news conference. And man, oh man, did that girl have insight to
Dude,
ask.
At the end of that, I binged it. I waited until it got on Netflix. That's how I was late to the game. And I think that's where it really, really took off and got its cult following. But I binged it in 2015. I had just moved to Connecticut. I was by myself. I had nothing to do. And it used to be the old days, like, do you want to watch the next video? Hell yeah, I want to watch it. I think I binged, was it 6 seasons at that time? I did it in like 3 weeks. Okay. When I got done with Breaking Bad, the last episode, 2 things happened to me. One, I had the utmost emptiness inside that I've ever felt in the longest time. And 2, I cried like a baby. I literally cried like a baby at the end of that. I did not want it to end. It was the best show I had ever watched in my entire life, and I had never been ever attracted to watching like a series. And I thought it was the most amazing, amazing series. And it has all the elements in it, and it really pulls you in and really connected you to those characters. And it's sad. It's very sad that it went away. And the El Camino thing, I thought it was cool, but it could have been left alone. And I tried Better Call Saul. I got into a first couple of episodes, but I just couldn't get into it. But what an amazing series. Gosh, I cried like a baby.
Question.
I will admit that as a man.
Curious if the Wi-Fi hotspot has been tapped at all. It's possible if the suspect had their phone on them, it may have pinged off the Wi-Fi in the residence. Has that been checked on at all?
As I stated, our investigation is looking at every avenue of every piece of evidence that we can.
Every avenue of every piece of evidence of, okay, I get it. They're not going to say it there.
February 10th.
They didn't say it for 4 months. But now we know. Source close to the investigation saying a Bluetooth speaker was discovered by the police in
I'll check it
Kaylee's room. I want to bring in our senior national correspondent, Brian Enton, on this.
Here's
Brian,
Daddy.
there's so little that we know about the actual investigative pieces inside the house. We have the affidavits. We have a brief narrative, like a little tippy top of the mountain, right? Affidavits are giant. There's so much that could be in them. But the probable cause doesn't have to be, right? You can just give enough to get an arrest. You don't have to give the whole narrative.
Thank you, Stacey.
That's for
Thank you for
trial.
being
That's
here.
for later.
Thank you so much.
So the fact that we know
Thank you.
that there's this device mere feet from where these
Nice
girls
to
were
see all the
killed,
new
from
names
where
and
that killer
faces.
walked, and probably even closer because that's where Murphy was closed in. It's a significant piece of the puzzle.
It is. It's really interesting, Ashley. I've been hanging on your every word. And it's interesting. While you were explaining it all, I pulled my phone out, and because I thought to myself when you first started talking about it, I'm like, oh, you just put your phone on airplane mode. He probably did that allegedly, because police say that he did that in other instances with his phone. So I put my phone on airplane mode sitting right here, and I'm no expert, but I noticed the Bluetooth stayed on. The Bluetooth stayed on, which made sense because when I go on the plane and I put my phone on airplane mode, I can still use my AirPods.
You in trouble?
So yes, this could be really, really significant.
Great.
And you make a good point. I mean, just because it's not in any of the paperwork we've seen so far, they only really had to put the bare minimum in some of that paperwork. And the FBI was out there. We saw them every day. And they would be the ones probably going and trying to match up some of these devices. So it's really interesting.
Merry Christmas,
so here's the thing.
Brother.
We now know for sure
everything
that
was
Kaylee had a
great
Bluetooth
today.
speaker in her
Real
room.
Quick, Isaiah, Merry Christmas, brother. I'm going to be back soon. I promise. I'm still rough, man. I'm still trying to hang in there. I miss you guys like crazy. I'll be back soon. I promise. I hope everything's good. I'll be back.
But we can also surmise, because these are students, these are university students, they've got laptops and printers and keyboards and mouses, and many of those are also Bluetooth devices. But that's just the tip of the iceberg too. There's so many more things in a home that could be Bluetooth friendly to a handshake.
Yeah, if you think about your own house, I mean, there's a ton of things with Bluetooth. We have a list we're going to go through and show you. Pull it up here. I have it on my phone. I wrote them out. AirPods, keyboards, computer mice, wireless headsets, laptops, iPads, tablets, Kindles, computer printers, smartphones, of course, because they have AirDrop, Apple Watches, TVs, speakers, cable boxes, video game controllers, washers, dryers, refrigerators. I mean, if you've got one of these souped up new appliances, they've even got Bluetooth and even air conditioning.
Hey, man, I'm just letting you know. Here's the witness. I'm at home. I'm not running around. So if anybody thinks I'm like running around, it's not happening. I'm at home trying to get through the Rona. Tomorrow's actually my 5th day, so I should be technically out of quarantine tomorrow and just rebuilding my lung strength. It's been terrible, man.
And purifiers. So it might not just be the Bluetooth speaker. I mean, you've confirmed the Bluetooth speaker, Ashley, but there may be way more.
There could be. And the issue, I think, is for so many of us, especially people over a certain age, is that you actually don't remember what you leave enabled and what you don't. And there are, certain settings on Bluetooth, like you just said, you flicked it on and it was on, and you may not even have remembered. And that's a key piece of this. It has to be on, but how do we remember out of the dozens of things in our homes, what we've left on and what we've turned off?
Yeah, and can you imagine if they connect Kohberger, if his phone connected to several of these devices? I mean, that would be huge.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Holly. I appreciate that. I see your chat. I see you. I see you. All right, let's get to my aha moment. So like I said, just going back and talking about this, I started kind of banking all these little things that I've heard in the back of my head. And I remember I was like, I've always heard this thing about a Bluetooth speaker, and then we never heard anything about it. It went away. We stopped hearing about it until this interview. And this interview was an update with Brian Entin, with the Gonsalves family, back on the year anniversary. They wanted to get, just a nuclear insight of how they're doing. And I urge everybody, if you haven't seen this full interview, and I'll drop the link, go watch it. There is a ton of nuggets in this, where they talk about things that they've seen, evidence, and we're going to get into all the devices that are in evidence for Kaylee. And that's where I went, oh, this is it. I found it. And you guys saw that on my video that I released today, but we'll go through it and we'll spitball it here a little bit.
Even the picture that they paint, it's probably going to be fairly accurate.
I'm on double speed because I was reviewing it, trying to get to the spot. Let's back up just a little bit.
I feel I have to be there for Kaylee. I feel like I have to.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Like,
thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
In court now.
Luna's mom with the 5.
She went through that.
I'll check it out.
We can be there.
I'll check that out afterwards.
Sure that
but I think hearing the details, if they come out, or the prosecution's got to paint a picture. Even the picture that they paint, it's probably going to be fairly accurate, I would think, for the most part.
We could talk to Thompson, the prosecution, and say, hey, all you have to do is look at us and we can leave.
There's just no way that a ton of stuff is going to come out. I think a ton. And sometimes I just lay in bed and think about that.
Yeah, they're going to retrace his steps. People are going to be shocked about how sophisticated this investigation was. I think the caste system, what I've seen of that, is going to blow people away. The tilting of the phone, all that stuff now can be used to give a picture that people don't realize. So I think there's some brilliant people working on this case. And
I'm just going to pull this up really quick and recognize this. Cheryl says, question, please. Does smart TVs collect data? Yes. Anything that's a smart device is collecting data. It wants to know how you activate in the world. It wants to tailor itself to you. It's going to collect things that I don't have a smart TV, but I'm sure that when you're using it and you're surfing the internet on it, I'm sure that it's collecting all that data I don't know how it works. Maybe it shows ads, but I'm sure if you get Google on there, it's going to start showing you ads on things that you search. It's going to start learning your activities. It's like all these devices, they're all trained to do that. She says, I know I can be talking about something random and get on my phone and get a Google ad and it suggests in my search, I was wondering about a smart TV. Yes. So the thing is that people feel that Google is listening. It's technically, it could be true, but the way that it was explained to me, if anybody's familiar with Tim Pool's a political commentator, and he was talking about how Google works and how all these websites understand what ads they should throw at you. And basically how it works, I'm going to pull this down so you can all see me. Basically how it works is that, from my understanding and how Tim explained it, is it learns your haptic activities. So it learns like what time you're typing at, It probably knows the time that you're taking a dump in the morning. It knows when you go to the gym. It knows when you eat. It starts learning those patterns. And the algorithm is so good. It's so good that it will predict something before you even know it. And he talked about a story, and I can't fully remember it, but there was a girl that was doing her daily routines, and after a while, it started collecting this data. It started showing her ads to buy baby clothes. Like a week later, she ends up being testing and being pregnant. So just by her activities on her phone, it already knew that she was pregnant. That's wild. Like, and it just it collects all this data. Like, if you eat Taco Bell, do you read Field and Stream magazine? Are you a car guy? And it crunches all that together. And that's when it starts throwing out the ads that you should be looking at. So that's kind of how I understand it. And I'm sure there's probably other elements to it as well, too. All right, let's get to that aha moment.
They're going to lay out
this money soon.
A full picture of things that lay out to a point where you're going to walk through this and you're going to relive it. And that will, I think it'll be pretty clear by the end of the case, the verdict.
I think the details are going to be what led up to it, or, you know, when he got eyes on him, or one of them, both of them, someone, how he picked that. I mean, I think it's just going to be very haunting, very just a nightmare.
Yeah,
just an average
the
person's
motive, I think, because we don't really have that
Yeah.
yet, so that will all be.
And I think his motive, which is weird, I think his motive was he wanted to do it. He
wanted
wanted to murder.
Yeah. Well, he did want
I
to
know
be.
that's, you know, like, but why did he want to murder? Well, he wanted murder because he wanted to see what it felt like, because he's a weirdo. I don't know. Just.
Well, he wanted to be a police officer, and he probably.
Well, I don't think most police officers want to murder people.
No. But he
and
wanted.
Especially that way.
It was part of his fantasy was to be in that situation of control. So.
But yeah, I mean, some of the details I look forward to, because it would be nice to put it to rest. But I don't know if I would put it to rest, that your brain ponders it. How did they cross paths? How?
Yeah.
I want answers. I want to know.
We all want to know. Believe me, Christy.
Why can't you just tell us that? I mean, I get it, but I mean, it's just such a simple question, you know, and
just how he was able to do that so quickly.
Yeah.
In the house.
Yeah.
You know, it's so brutal.
Yeah. I mean, what, 15 minutes? 4:04 to 4:17 or something? And people say, "Oh, it's not possible. It's not possible." Yeah, it is. He was on a mission.
I think they'll redo those steps. A mission.
He went boom, 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 straight upstairs.
Yeah, and adrenaline, and you know.
And it's both victims are right next to each other.
Sit for 14 minutes. Just sit. Put your clock on. And me and Olivia have done that before. And be like, just sit inside. And we're just going to sit here. And I mean, you know, we're like, how long has it been? And she was like, 7 minutes. I'm like, okay. 11 minutes. Like, that's a long time. You know, so you think it is, you know, people are like, no way. You know, yeah, way. You know, I'm not thinking anybody new will be introduced to the case in that way, like an accomplice or anything like that. You can't get somebody to get on that MO with you. No way.
All right. So I went back a little too far, but we're going to get to the point. I just want to take a quick pause break here really quick. So we have a lot of people in the room. Just want to let everybody know, if you're enjoying the content tonight, okay, and a lot of people don't get my notifications, just keep this in mind. I live stream just about every single night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're enjoying yourselves tonight and you're not getting my notifications, just come over and check out my channel at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll see the live just pop in and you can hang out with us. Also, I'm going to do this in probably about 15 minutes. I'm going to give away $25 tonight, just as a little Christmas gift. If you want to be involved in the giveaway, all you need to do is a couple of things. One, have a Cash App, a Venmo, or a PayPal account. And I also need to verify you. So by verification, after your name is pulled, I need to see you physically verify yourself in the chat. Okay. After you do that, I'm going to have you email me I will verify you, and then I will get you your payout by the end of the stream. If you want to partake in the $25 giveaway, there's only 71 entries. There's over 600 people in here. Hashtag Merry, hashtag MERRY. Hey, it's $25. It's free. You can use it for gas, food, whatever. It's on me. It's my Christmas gift to you. Put it in the chat. All right, we'll play on here, and I'm going to hopefully get to where I wanted to be in the video, but we'll get there.
No way. I mean, Bonnie and Clyde, okay, that was a little different, you know, but yeah, you're not getting, somebody's not getting on that crazy train with you. You're going to say, you're crazy. You are crazy.
Yeah, that would have come out by now, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mistrust between the two. I mean, and you're going to throw this person under the bus the first time.
Make sure you're here.
And I worry about, I don't worry about him, but my mind also thinks that one day he's just going to say, we're backed in the corner. All of our emotions have been heard. We're done. I'm looking like a straight up fool right now because, you know, we got nothing. He can't even come up with an alibi. Let's talk about that for a minute. What happened with that? It was due.
Yeah, Idaho law says you have to give your alibi.
It was extended. It was extended.
Or they explained to us, or you can't use one. So that would mean he couldn't say.
So right there. And then I was driving around. Yep, that was my white car that drove. Yep, that was me. But I didn't go in and kill those kids. Yep, that's
you can't come up with an alibi in the courtroom. He just has to say.
Don't know how my sheath got there. I mean,
if he pled guilty and said, I'll plead guilty in exchange.
Did I pass it, Carrie? Am I in the right area here?
Protects against that.
The hard thing with this, that question on, and we'll give it, but just because, you know, our opinion is yay or nay doesn't matter
at all. If you want to do a certain direction.
With everything, the second that the girls died.
Hang out and.
Looking like a straight up fool right now.
Ordering it up this quick.
Oh, here it is.
Is that kind
Went
of
too far.
You guys feel? And what does
here it is? The aha moment.
It's
that like?
Are you gonna?
Yeah. No, you can just answer it. That's fine. Yeah.
I think it's scary. I'm scared.
You don't want to hear something that.
Well, yeah. I mean, because you can't. I mean, and like I said, my mind will go. You know, give me a little, and unfortunately, my mind will go there, and I'm scared what I will hear. I think it's going to be terrifying. I think it's going to be absolutely terrifying. And is it mentally good? You know, obviously it's not mentally good for me at all. Or healthy?
Yeah,
no.
Gray Hughes is great.
And I thought about like maybe I
channel.
shouldn't go and be there. I mean, there are days that I won't be.
Yeah,
you know, photos, I'm out. But
excuse me.
I feel I have to be there for Kaylee. Yeah. I feel like I have to. Like she'd be like, Mom, get up and get your butt in court now. Like, you know, like she went through that.
At least we can be there to make sure that it.
But I think hearing the details, if they come out, or I mean, the prosecution's got to paint a picture. Even the picture that they paint, I mean, it's probably going to be fairly accurate, I would think, for the most part.
We could talk to Thompson, the prosecution, and say, hey, all you have to do is look at us and just, and we can leave.
There's just no way that a ton of stuff is going to come out. I think a ton. And sometimes I just lay in bed and think about that.
Yeah, they're going to retrace his steps. People are going to be shocked about how sophisticated this investigation was. I think the caste system, what I've seen of that, is going to blow people away. The tilting of the phone, all that stuff now can be used to give a picture that people don't realize. So I think there's some brilliant people working on this case, and they're going to lay out a full picture of things that lay out to a point where you're going to walk through this and you're going to relive it. And that will, I think it'll be pretty clear by the end of the case, the verdict.
I think the details are going to be what led up to it, or, you know, when he got eyes on him, or one of them, both of them, someone,
this again?
How he picked that. I mean, I think it's just going to be very haunting, very just a nightmare.
Yeah,
just an average
the
person's.
motive, I think, because we don't really have that yet.
Yeah.
So that will all be.
And I think his motive, which is weird, I think his motive was he wanted to do it. He
wanted
wanted to murder.
Yeah. Well, he did want
I
to
know
be.
that's, like, but why did he want to murder? Well, he wanted murder because he wanted to see what it felt like. He's a weirdo. I don't know. Just.
Well, you want to be a police officer, probably.
Well, I don't think most police officers want to
I'm
murder.
sorry, I've kind of
No, but he wanted.
Was, and was it here?
Through that window. I want to. So it's just things like that.
Do you have any questions, Lauren?
I mean, I know that and you can answer this to Brian, but I know we've talked about, like, we still feel like there's so much.
Because we know of some things like a laptop.
Oh, here we go.
And we were like, so what's next?
Shit, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've been kind of searching around here to find this spot, but geez, I'm so sorry, everybody. This is
nothing. We hear nothing, and then all of a sudden they dropped the bomb yesterday that court tomorrow or something like that. And we're like, oh, yay, you know.
It's very.
And then
it's like a roller coaster.
So I'm like, and I'm like, you're right.
I literally just wasted like 20 minutes searching for this part. I'm so sorry.
It is a little. I mean, we're getting there.
Outside
but these
perspective.
months are torture, at least for me, because I mean, I feel like part of it is I just torture myself with them, and I'm just like, I get that date in my head, and I'm like, just reverse. I just try to get through the weeks. I'm like, just get through the weeks,
And I get active. I get involved. I know that I can find.
And I just
more
want to pull the covers up over my head and just be like, just leave me alone. Where are my dogs? Just.
I know you mentioned that that you guys wanted to get like her phone back. Is there anything else that like you guys were like, oh my gosh, I would love to have this?
We asked for a list of the things that they had to take. Because we know of some things like a laptop, an Apple laptop, and a couple of things. We couldn't even get them to give a list. So
of things that they had. And I mean, maybe it sounds stupid, but I don't really know why Kaylee's phone is evidence. Like, what is on? So it makes me think, what is on it?
Yeah, that makes you go cuckoo.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, okay, what is on it?
Her speaker.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. This is what I've been waiting for 10 months for this to be confirmed. This is what I've been waiting for 10 months for someone to say something about this speaker. And he said it, and I went, holy shit. In February of 2023, this was the first time a source said that there was a speaker. And this now makes all sense to me. We talked about it at the very beginning of this. If Kohberger was in and around that neighborhood, there is a possibility that his phone connected to Kaylee Gonzalez's speaker, or he's screwing around with his phone and connected to it by accident. They're going to have a digital trail of that. And Micro is actually in here confirming all of that. So this makes sense, even if it didn't connect that night. But here's the kicker, even better than that. Let's say we know he was down in that area 12 times. Let's say the one time his phone connects with that speaker, and on the night he goes back there to commit the murders, and he has his phone in his pocket, and he thinks he's so smart, having it in airplane mode. And he goes into that house and it reconnects to that speaker because it had already been there before. It knew, like we talked about, when you go to a hotel and you stay there and you connect to the Wi-Fi or the Bluetooth and you leave and you come back and maybe vacation there again, it's going to try to remember that. It's going to try to handshake those devices. This is the moment I've been waiting for 10 months to confirm this. I think this is going to lock Kohberger in. Even if the DNA is all fucked up and it seems fucked up and the defense is trying to fuck it all up. But I still think there's going to be a lot of explaining. And I know it's not their job to explain. It's the job of the prosecution to prove. But you have a knife sheath, with Brian Kohberger's DNA on it, next to 2 dead victims in a bed. You have the possibility, and I think it's a very strong possibility now, with this confirmation from Steve 10 months later, that Kohberger's phone could have connected with Kaylee's speaker? And I think it did. I think it did. Why would they still continue to have that in evidence and not give that back to the Gonzalez family? Also a possibility, and I don't know how computers work, could there be a possibility that his phone pinged off her Bluetooth on her computer? I think this all makes sense now. And I'm going to wait now for trial, because if this is a moment of victory here for LTL True Crime Podcast figuring this out, and they say, well, his device connected to Kaylee's speaker, I'm going to probably shit a gold brick on the floor. I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe this. I couldn't believe it. I was like, yes, Steve said it. We absolutely know now. We know. So I just want to go back and hear the moment there really quick again. We'll play this. And then I'm going to just bring up some things about YouTube, Bluetooth, and how some of the Bluetooth stuff works.
Top in a couple of things. We couldn't even get them to give a list. So
of things that they had. And I mean, maybe it sounds stupid, but I don't really know why Kaylee's phone is evidence. Like, what is, so it makes me think, what is on it?
Yeah, that makes you go cuckoo.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, okay, what is on it?
Her speaker, it's kind of unusual item not to give back. The laptops, multiple laptops, not just one. All electronics, it seems like they've kept of hers. So, and her bake records, the amount of records on Kaylee was probably, I think fairly to say, was more than the other victims. So curious where that's going to come.
If we got like her wallet.
All right, I'm just going to stop this because I just kind of wanted to show that. It took me 20 minutes to find that. I screwed up the timestamp. But yeah, I want to look at this really quick. And someone just said this in the chat, and just talk a little bit about the range of Wi-Fi. I mean, on Bluetooth. So I'm sorry. So here you got for basic general stuff. It says here, while Bluetooth signals are flexible, they generally weaker than Wi-Fi or radio. This means they have a limited range and varies according to products, the Bluetooth classification. How far does Bluetooth usually reach? Commercial electronics, including most smartphones, headphones, earbuds, and portable speakers, fall into classes which give them a range of about 33 feet. I just want to recognize this really quick. Carrie with the drop. Thank you so much for the 5 memberships. We have Caroline, Bianca, J. Ray, Bumbling Bee, and Layla. And after I get through reading this, we're going to drop that money. We're going to give that money away. So, just going back and reading this. Oh shit! What just happened here? Okay. 33 feet. Bluetooth 5.0 is above strength range quality. For example, they reduce the back and forth communication between the receiver and the transmitter and improve channel classification to better identify clearer channels for signal of travel. So again, we don't know what kind of Bluetooth device is. Could be a Bose device, could be an Alexa, could be a Dot, something like that. But it would lead me to believe, for that to viably happen, that I have to be at least hang on one second, at least 33 feet in front of that home. Now, the one thing we don't know is, that's not I just want to get past these articles. Actually, that's another article I want to show really quick. But I wanted to, did I close Google Earth? No. I just want to pull Google Earth up and just give you the lay of the land. Now, we can't go down King Road, obviously, but look here. If you can get in this parked area, the home is right there. I would say, figuratively speaking, it's probably pretty close to 30 feet. Now, they said that the camera position that picked up the loud thud that night was only 50 feet out on that adjacent wall. 50 feet is pretty far away. I think 30 feet, 33 feet would be pretty close to that road. We don't know where it was in the house. It could have been out closer to the door. It could have been something there. Most likely it might have been in her room, but we're not sure because we knew that she moved out and she only came back that weekend to celebrate. So possibly that speaker could have just been left there. Maybe it was in the living room. And if it was in the living room, that would put it closer to the door, which would be closer to the road. So again, all speculation, but all things that are possible as well too. Also, what I want to do is just pull this up, and then we're going to give away that money. I saw this interesting in this article, and it went down and said Bluetooth devices. Let me just enlarge this. So it's back on January 2nd, 2023. They were talking about Bluetooth devices. I saw this. A Redditor mentioned how MAC address for a device functions when Bluetooth is turned on. As mentioned in the post, and the location of the device is up to every 15 minutes along with a MAC address. So if there's any gain of truth to this theory, then the location of Brian Kohberger's Bluetooth during the time would determine if he was at the crime scene in Moscow, Idaho. The case against the suspect will be solidified if both the DNA and the location of the crime scene were proven to exist during the time of the murders. A Reddit user wrote, "Please forgive me in advance my lack of knowledge about technology. I'm an older person and I'm reading from the BH Bluetooth, which is trying, I think it meant BK's Bluetooth, trying to connect to the speaker. If someone has technology, could they be a way that someone spy on someone?" The person continued, "Once in a while, my phone or husband's phone will alert with a new device that's trying to connect to our network. It's kind of creepy because we know all our devices have been connected. Can someone with superior knowledge hack into privacy that way? Remember, when people used to say the camera on your computer could be hacked, which it can, and it has 100%, I can use to cover it with a Post-it note, and I use black tape if I ever had those. I was being watched. Anyway, thank you for answering my question." It says, according to 2 law enforcement sources, investigators now identified Kohberger in the DVN. But anyway, I just wanted to read a little bit about that as well too. I thought that was fantastic. So let's get out. Let's give this money away. All right. So if you want to enter, I'm going to give everybody like a 3-minute time limit. We have probably over 600 people in the chat. I'm seeing close to 600. We only have 86 people. So the chances right now are pretty good of you winning. You want to get involved, hashtag Mary. Hashtag Mary will get you in. I only ask you have a Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal to get, so I can pay you out. You have to be here in the chat when the drawing, and you have to verify it was you. And then what we'll do is have you email me and I'll get you paid out. I'm going to set a timer here for about 2 minutes to let everybody catch up. I'm just going to use the restroom, and then we'll do that drawing, and then we're going to close out the stream for the night. So I'm running right here, right now. Get entered in. I'll play a little background music. I'm just going to use the restroom really quick, and then we're going to pull that winner. Whoops, I'm muted. So Cha-Cha G is the winner. If you're not here and you don't claim it, I'm going to respin it. Cha-Cha G, are you in the chat? Cha-Cha G, are you here? If you're not here, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to claim it. If not, I'm going to redo it and we're going to pay this puppy out to someone else. Jackie T saying, first time here, very much enjoyed your channel. I will be back. Go Bills. Thank you, Jackie. I don't think Cha-Cha's here. We'll give her a couple more seconds and then we're going to re-rip this. Aha, she is here. Da, 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 da. Yes, awesome. What I need you to do is my email should pop up. Thank you, Jackie C. Thank you for the great stream. Thank you. Okay, email me, letstalklivepodcast@gmail.com. I will have you do something to verify yourself. But as you send the first email, just send me your PayPal, your Venmo, or Cash App so I can get you paid out. We'll wait for that. Make sure she gets paid out. In the interim, I will find a little video here. And what can we do to kill some time? Here. We'll do this for now. We'll wait for Cha-Cha to send me the email. We'll watch a little bit more about the destruction of King Road, which I'm pissed about, and I will be protesting.
Joined now by Alan Bloom. He was Cynthia Summers' second attorney, the one who got her released, not the ineffective one. Alan, I'm so glad that you're here tonight because when Cheney Mason brought up the possibility of ineffective assistance of counsel if Kohberger is convicted in the Idaho case, I immediately thought about you and I wanted to get your thoughts. What do you think about that?
Did you say that the defense attorney in this case actually conceded the fact that they could destroy this crime scene?
Yes.
Okay, so now you're dealing on very iffy grounds. Now you have a situation where counsel is not attempting to preserve it. There is no question in the world that what should be done in this circumstance is that counsel should request that the court preserve the crime scene. If the prosecution is going to push for its destruction or going to allow it, or if the court overrules that request and allows for the destruction of the crime scene. At that point, you can at least say that the defense has been denied one of its rights, its critical right to properly prepare for the case if, and this is a key thing, if some piece of evidence is found down the line that would have made a difference in the case. You mentioned Cynthia's case. In Cynthia's case, what we found was that the prosecution had not properly handled the lab work that was done, and they had tainted it. And yet we found a third batch of samples that had not been touched and were pristine. We were able to compare that to what the tainted evidence was that was presented in court. And we showed then that the evidence that was preserved showed that there was, as you said, no arsenic at all in his system.
Aha, I got it.
They would have to find that type of incredibly powerful evidence.
You are a smart cookie. You reached out to me on IG. Awesome. That was a lot easier. A lot of people don't have IG. Okay, let me get you paid out. So just everybody knows that I verified and I sent it to you. I'm going to do this. Let me do my Cash App and then we'll finish the video and then we're going to do a final thought and I'm going to end the live. I'm going to add an extra $5 in there. So I'm going to send Cha-Cha 30. I'm feeling gracious if I can get this to. All right, let's do this. We got it paid out. Bada bing, bada boom. Just let me know that you got it. Cha-cha, let me know in the chat. Everything should be good. Okay, let's finish this, and then we're going to give my final thought. We'll wrap this up.
The crime
Thank you all
scene
for being here tonight.
that wasn't available to the defense because it was torn down.
You know how this works. I mean, you're a master of the courtroom. You never know what's going to happen in a murder trial. Most defense attorneys I've spoken with, and prosecutors too,
you're
say
welcome.
there's always something
She
that throws
confirmed
them
that she
for
got
a
it.
loop
Awesome.
when they actually get to the litigation phase. So I guess the point is, why would you agree to this? Why would you, as a defense attorney, agree to tear down that house, knowing something could happen during trial and you can't remedy it with the house still standing? And your job could be on the line, because if he decides to throw ineffective assistance of counsel out there, that's on your head.
Well, I'm not so much worried about the lawyer. If you want to know, I'm worried about the accused, the person who's charged with this crime, who didn't get a chance to present the evidence that should have been presented. Now, I'm not saying, well, I said that actually a little bit wrong. I said didn't get the chance. We don't know if there's something key inside that house or not. But you're absolutely right. Once they demolish the house, the crime scene is gone. There is no opportunity at that point to present something that might come up. And you also are right about something else. A murder trial.
Caroline, thank you for the $1.99.
Starts
It
in
did go
one
through.
spot.
Thank you so
And
much for
every
your
case that I've done, and I've done
contribution.
hundreds of them, every case that I've done ends in a different spot. You can't predict exactly what's going to happen. And there is no way that this house shouldn't be attempted to be preserved so that it can be reviewed at some later point. When
Mike,
that issue
just get your
finally
email.
comes
I'll
up,
email you
don't
after
know
the
all
show.
the issues that will be presented at
Thank
trial.
you.
The defendant doesn't know what's going to be important. We get it. We have a strong idea, but we don't know for sure. And you're not going to know, and you're never going to have a chance to check it out if this crime scene isn't preserved.
Alan, do you think it's possible, because there's a gag order in this case, so we really don't know a lot. We certainly don't know what the state has on Brian Kohberger. We think it's a lot. What we do know is a lot. But is it possible at this point that the state has, through discovery, shared with the defense attorney enough for them both to know we've got him dead to rights? This eventually is going to end up in a plea deal. Let the house come down. Let the community heal.
You
Is
mean
it
dead to
possible
rights
there's
to the
any
sense?
kind of discussion like that? Go ahead. Are you still there? Can you hear me?
You
Frozen.
mean dead to rights to the sense that you know that some, okay. You mean dead to rights to the sense that you're sure that somebody died from arsenic, and then you find out that he didn't die from arsenic and all. There is no
That's a good point.
such thing as dead to rights. There is no such thing as being certain in a case. It's entirely possible that there is an enormous amount of evidence in this case. I don't know one way or the other. I do know, though, that no case ends up where it began. There's always variations high and low with it. I do also know that preserving the third-party crime scene in this case is an essential thing that should and must be done. Whether the court's going to do it or not, then it's on the court. If you go to the court and you say, no, this evidence should be preserved, this should be preserved, because we don't know everything right now. I can send my investigator, my experts in there for a day or 24 hours now, but here we are in December. This trial is going to be an X number of months from now. We don't know what the issues are going to be presented. We don't know every one of those issues. And we should not remove the opportunity for my client to have a fair trial.
Okay. Awesome. So it looks like some of you are familiar with him. Tomorrow night at 8:15 p.m., I will be live with The Glarer. I will be live with Will tomorrow night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm just seeing, there is some new video released on Turtle Boy's channel. And I'm not going to get into that because it's not what this stream is about, but I'm sure that me and the Glarer will cover that tomorrow. So tomorrow night, we'll be talking about Karen Reed, Turtle Boy, and Idaho 4. So please come back and join us. 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I just dropped the link. Set your reminder. Set your reminder. And if anybody's interested in the video that just dropped on Turtle Boy's channel, I'm going to drop that link as well. You can have a listen. It sounds like there's some business going on. So we will be covering this tomorrow, I am sure. And it'd be great to see everybody back over here. I want to welcome everybody in. If you're new, I saw a lot of new first timers here tonight for LTL True Crime Podcast. Again, my name is Brian. Most of the stuff that I do here, 95% of what I do here is live shows. Again, I'm live basically almost every night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you don't get my notifications, just come check the channel. I'm probably live. I appreciate everybody being in here this evening. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. I hope that you continue to come back to the live chats. We have a lot of fun. I give away a lot of money. I give back to my community, and I give away a lot of really great gifts as well too. So once in a while, I'll pull up a really good gift, and they're not shitty. I mean, I've given away $500 handbags, $300 sunglasses. So I'm a very giving community here, and I love just giving back. You know, you all deserve it. You watch me, you put up with my crap, you support the channel. I appreciate it. And we'll continue to do those things because I love being charitable. I've done a lot of charity work on here as well. We give out charity money live on air and help people in need. We just did a charity drop just a couple of months ago for one of the victims of the Maui fires. She needed about $500 to get her $10,000 to get her off a gym floor, and I ended up donating the $500 to get her over her goal and get that money released to her so she could go back and start rebuilding her home. So we do things like that here too. Again, thank you all so much. I'll be back tomorrow, 8:15 p.m. with the Glarer. I cannot wait for that. Oh boy, we have a lot of Turtle Boy news to go through, and I'll be very excited about that. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, got everything they wanted, got to see their family and friends. And the best thing, I hope you got to hug some of your loved ones, because our time on this earth is very short, and we need to make the best of it as we can and make that impact in life. And that's what I want to do here. It's what I want to do here through this channel, is connect with all of you and make impacts in your life. And thank you. Thank you for being in the live audience tonight. I appreciate it. I'm going to hit the outro, and I'll see everybody tomorrow night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all have a enjoyable rest of your night, and I'll see y'all soon. Thank you. Have a great night.